Great.
So it's just that initial touch. Just notice rotation going in through both hands, but I'm looking for how the spine counters that movement. So even though I'm touching here looking for the extension, my objective right now is to see where the spine wants to take that pressure.
Right.
And with most people, you'll hit a wall there quite quickly. There, you can feel it right there. See where you can start feeling where there's inconsistencies in that bend?
Yeah.
So I'm going to go back down here again just to localize where I need to go. So I'm looking for the stress in there. So there it's quite fine. Here there's a bit of tension. And there, right there. So keeping my hands here, I'm just going to see if I can go after that stress point. Again, just acknowledge it. There already. Now see, I'm into the pelvis. And notice too that I'm going into the vertebrae, but I'm not going in up that you're usually taught. I'm actually going down into, and then I'm just lightly looking for that vertebrae to bend. Why? Because eventually when I want this arm to come back, that vertebrae needs to get out of the way in that kind of a movement. So if I was doing it this way, see, I would be closing out the movement or canceling it. And notice that even though most of my force is done around the thumbs, the fingers up here are still crucial with the movement. And this is the kind of stuff that I say, most people tune pianos, I tune Steinways. I really am going into Now I could come down here and just give a little bit just for the spinal twist. And I'm just and then coming down again here into. Now I'm looking for the vertebrae to come down, but in this direction. Before I was going more this direction, but now.
That direction, or you mean towards the table then?
Towards the table,
yeah,
but
yeah.
in this kind of trajectory.
Yeah.
And sorry, that's the only thing I hate about explaining. I hate leaving the system to talk with my hands, so I apologize. And that's a movement would have to take place if you were to go to roll to your back this way. See how the vertebrae then would have to drop down. But I'm just looking for them to initiate that kind of movement. If you find that you have one vertebrae that's really giving you a hard time, you actually can go in and torque just directly. But notice at the same time that I'm slowly working on your balance and counterbalance through the rib cage in relationship with the table. So there's a lot going on. I'm not bringing you to a point where I'm going to see the staccato. That's where the detailed work has to come in. If I'm moving you that little and that shoulder's jumping, there's no sense right now of me pulling your arms over your head.
Yeah.
So now that I have this, I'm going to come in behind you here to stabilize the back, but I've got to find the point where that shoulder is going to want to be able to counter. So notice, see how I rotate my wrist in, push in on the left, as I bring back on the right. That constant counter. But you see how nice your system responds to that kind of touch? It's just...
Feel it all the way into the head.
Yeah. Right there, it's a bit of a catch. So I'm going to just come into the neck. There we go. But even that, you know, I'm recognizing that still that little staccato. Notice how I sort of push down rib cage as I'm lifting into the scapula. Now, would I necessarily do this on someone the first lesson? No, you get lessons and you do this work. So you're here for training, but this might be the second or third lesson with someone if I don't know them. Or I would just shorten this up a bit. See how I'm countering every movement that I do. And feel the difference if I was here not being there for you.
Yeah.
That's where the kids really benefit. The more I'm here, in a sense, that snuggle.
It's very different feelings.
Now, if I couldn't, again, if you smelled or you were, you know what I mean, then that's where, too, I can do this. But this is going to stabilize the spine a bit too much in this conversation. But this is still a way of letting someone know that they're protected in a sense. I have the ball actually to work underneath the arm, so. That's it. There you go. You're not used to this position. I let you breathe. And then I'm going to come back. Again, just going in, same thing. Not moving the hands. And now I can go down a bit the vertebrae. So. But just notice how I'm scooping off the top of the profiles of the spine versus going in, you know what I mean, with the pokey kind of finger, because again, the movement will stop. Now I'm going to come over to work the arm. Again, depending on who you're to work with, you might want to prop the back. I'm not going to, but I'm doing a little bit of sign language there, so. So do you feel the weight?
Yeah.
Right? So with that, I'm just looking for that point, and I'm going to be teaching you this. It happens throughout the body where the system just wants to just lift.
Yeah.
And if it's not there, especially in the children, especially the babies, this is what I'll just tap into during the NMA, good luck. They are not going to come to sitting. They need to have that little bit of that. And that comes from transfer of weight versus trying to lift the arm. Most adults go into that lifting mode versus that transfer. They lose that. So see, just talking you through it already, just the difference in the arm. That's it. See there, it's,
Feel it going into my back.
yeah, but that's where it's stuck versus here. See that the elbow? There we go. It's just like tuning a piano string. You're just looking to see where there's a bit of tension. And now here, very similar to what I did with Ariana, feel the slide coming back off the elbow and then down again. The only thing I did different with her is the thumb was on top, so applying that pressure so she can feel that weight on the top part of her arm as well as the side. But notice a difference. What you don't want to do, especially with the kids, is the hand over hand. See the difference? Takes your spine away.
Yeah.
If you come underneath, see again, see how it goes right into the system.
Yeah.
So if you do put your hand on top of them, like you might see this, I'm not laying my weight.
Yeah.
I'm almost lifting underneath it with the condyles, that kind of thing, but I'm not doing that bearing weight. But there you can see where it's, see you're holding on my hand. Do you see that? That extension you would see right here like ballerinas. When they're coming out like this, they actually can extend through their lower arms into that kind of mode.
Yeah.
As an example. There you go. See the roll through. But right there, that's where the elbow's not crossing the midline. So now I'm going to drop it down right there to that point on the, and there we go. See how I'm looking to initiate that counter. So I'm just going to acknowledge it. Again, notice that rotation going into the shoulder. So I'm not pressing in, see?
Yeah.
Versus that rotation. Notice how I'm still on the wrist for that extension through the arm. If I didn't, feel the difference.
Yeah.
See how I counter those two opposing forces? If I wanted to bring it back, no. See, now whatever I did there, do you feel the tension you just brought into your arm? So I'll let that go. You're not ready for it yet. What comes out of your mouth that you tell me what happened versus what a system is telling me. See again, look at how much you're holding that wrist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's two different conversations. People think they were fine until the car accident, especially with the kids.
Yeah.
She doesn't just have a trach. She's had surgery to have the trach put in. She's got the pulse, you know what I mean? Like she's had the G tube. She's got, you know what I mean? Like it's, stuff has happened. My son's had 25 surgeries, so you can't tell me that he's going to have a typical neural response,
Yeah.
even though he's doing incredible. But Graham needs a lesson. I have to work on him this week. He's starting to walk, dropping his foot again. But see, right, whatever it is right there, it's the elbows catching to work. So just. So now this is the first time I'm applying pressure down to the hand into the floor. Now Moishe touches into that in training, that if you want something to come up, you press down.
Yeah.
But he does it in a very abrupt way. I'm looking for the counter. So now I have the counter. So shoulder rotates up, hand goes in. But this is the creme de la creme. So you come here, push in, and see, start transferring that weight. And that's what you're not sure about doing. Come back, rotate off. And again. And here, right there. Now here too, I can even use the ball if I had to. See how? But see, when more and more you use this kind of force, you use so much less muscles in the system. You know, it's a much more efficient way of processing movement.
Yeah. I can feel the area of pain there as well. You know, I can feel, oh, that's where it's holding. You know, and that it's very interesting.
Am I hurting you though?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No. I can feel the, you know, as you're moving into the shoulder, I can feel, oh.
But see now,
yeah.
the nice lift in the hand?
Yeah.
Where before it was, see
Yeah.
the light?
Yeah.
So I'm just going to do lightly here, just to counter. See, I would have done before something like this, right? But now to counter into the wrist when the pinky comes up. There we go. The more you can offer that system for the movement to go someplace, there you go. The body just goes wahoo. There's a bit of a fall there in the staccato. I'm just going to come right underneath here just to show whatever's going on in the wrist. More of that roll. But if you can't get a baby to do this, they're never going to feed themselves.
Right. Yeah.
So to sit there and go, come on, I don't get it. This is the work here is just. Now I'm going to do the reverse. Now the thumb's unusual, so you want to come off the top of the knuckle as well as through the bottom of the finger.
It's really, I really, in there, I really feel what you mean about the counter. Actually, it's such a small movement. Actually, that yeah, how important it is.
You'll
Yeah,
really see
yeah.
the babies,
Yeah.
especially when it doesn't present.
Yeah.
I think a lot of special needs babies coming in on the NMA stuff. So notice here, see what I've been doing with Ariana now, pushing into the table, but yet coming away. So now what I can do is I leave the fingers on the table and I'm lightly going to pull just to get that extension in the back of the hand. This is a sensation never experienced by high and low tone kids, especially the high tone. With the lack of the counterbalance, you're going to get this. When I have counter, see, I can bring and I can get extension in the back of hand. If I don't have counter or that spasticity, which is declared a CP, then the system wants to grab. There's no extension through the fingers. That's it. And probably because of that, the shoulder probably just really resolved itself just from the back of the fingers. Feel the difference? Now, who would have thought? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've really found that if something hurts, unless you know that there was blunt force trauma to that area, you look for that counter. So now that I have the extension, I can start bringing in and see where the rotation is very slowly. Now again, that's where the chest isn't used to hanging over the sternum. Now if I need a little bit more, come right here to the knee. Rotate it. There it is. See how the spine just... And this is where, honestly, on video, it looks like I'm just doing this, right?
But I can feel it very deeply, yeah.
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 But now look at the difference, though, just from that. Now look at that arm. Just from that subtle. So now I can come in and do the detailed work again. Because you can see again, see that transfer of weight is a little off up in the upper arm. So see, you're a little bit jumpy. I'm going to come in with two hands. There we go. So much nicer. So now you can really feel that clavicle function. So now this point, even this, do you feel the weight in this arm?
Yeah.
So see how I'm still not even into a Feldenkrais move
Yeah. Yeah.
that someone would have done just eons before you right now. And you see how people like Floria, who were here on Sunday, the trauma and the violation, because I think more so because she felt that she was a doctor, heal
Yeah.
thyself kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And her life's work of teaching has been blown out the window, and she feels very violated. So, like I said, she's a little bit over Feldenkrais. Because again, people are touted that the ATMs will fix you. Well, not all the time.
Yeah.
So just... There we go. See, now the rotation just underneath. I call that my strawberry hole and stuff, where I'm just looking like I'm picking up you'll see me work, especially with the elbow or little kids, and it's just, but I'm just underneath here. See that rotation? But it allows that extension. There we go, all underneath those muscles. There you go. See, when I naturally pick you up, see how the arm now falls into a natural rotation. Here again, just like a choo-choo train. Sorry, I work with too many kids. Notice again that extension here. I'm not Did you feel the difference? Same.
Mm.
Which is a valid move. But I'm... Extension. See how that rotations naturally happen? There we go. Letting that fall now start to happen. Using the ball. There we go. Now, notice too how nicely I can hold your arm. I'm not worried about the hyperextension, that kind of thing, where normally this would be a two-handed, like if I had started off. But this is how much your system's just like, here, Michelle, what do you want from me?
Yeah.
So I'm going to lightly bring the hand down. And now what I'm going to be doing, it's sort of similar to what I was doing with Haryana, but in reverse. So I want the pressure to come off the back. And I'm just going to be lightly, notice how low I have to get, because I need my... And I'm going in. There we go. So what I'm doing is, notice the gyroscope going up through the shoulder, and I'm letting that shoulder slide, but stay even. So it's not flopping. See how the shoulder maintains? But then the clavicle is adjusting all the movements. This is very rare that humans get to experience. Does that make sense? So the scapula is going forward, right?
Yeah.
And the clavicle's letting go.
Yeah.
And then as I rotate back in, you see how that force against the scapula as the clavicles go back.
Yeah.
But what this does is now I'm going to let you drop a little bit. I'm going to let you drop. There we go, see? Muscles should be all starting to become very neutral.
Yeah.
So this stage now, if I want, I can come in. Notice my rotation into the chest cavity. But again, see how I'm pulling against the arm. There it is. Acknowledging it, hanging out. What I'm doing here now, watch this. Because you're coming forward, and I just started really teaching this with Joy last week. Notice how I let you come into my hands. So I'm not resisting you, but I'm allowing your system to actually find itself in space again. There we go. See how the arm naturally now rotates all around this? But see, if I did too much finger work, see how the muscles engaged immediately?
Yeah.
Do you feel that?
Yeah.
Versus. There you go. So now it's up to you if you want to lie on your back and feel that, walk around, or I just go in and do what I'm doing next.
Go on and do what you're doing next.
Okay. Do you need this propped?
No, it's
I'm going to integrate it now into the knee. And
Okay.
again, what I'm working on here is actually a pre-crawl,
yeah.
right?
When you were pushing through the knee, Michelle, you were just here. That.
Yeah, I'm about to do it a bit more
Okay.
clearly,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's just enough. It's, again, the touch is very subtle. So now if I don't do a rotation, see how I'm just like in a sense just knocking at the door.
Yeah.
I'm not really going in. All I have to do is lightly rotate, and it's literally like, you know that old toy where the ball goes down you're supposed to try and bring the ball down and do it slowly enough that the ball comes forward. So it's just like I'm imagining that the spinal fluid coming in and out, that
Yeah.
wave, trying to activate it, so it's learning how to transfer the weight up and down the spine again. So I'm not going here, core strength,
Yeah.
where I'm engaging muscles. I'm doing the rotation where I'm engaging those fluids to kick in.
Right.
So same thing that I just did with the arm in a sense. I'm just going to come here, and again, notice right there, the lift in the leg is quite severe, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm going to do very similar that I did with the arm. If I feel that person really has a problem, I have a deflated ball that I put in between the legs. I've done something similar with John. But, so just again, there we go, I'm into the SI, feel that?
Yeah, definitely.
See how nice that SI should slide, and that sacrum, not only should it start wagging, but you should actually be able to get the sacrum to counter from within. So feel that? See how the sacrum now is actually torquing back and forth as well as the pelvis is starting to slide? Sorry, Joy, I didn't mean to end up doing this whole lesson away from you. I started with the back, so. So I'm going to come in here now. Again, notice how low I get. I'm going behind the knee. And see how slow I have to get looking for the pelvis to slide back to me. But because of what I just did to your arm, look how fast I'm getting in.
Mm.
No offense, if I again just started doing look at that. Where are you going to go with this?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I get it. You're going to get results, but I'm telling you, if you learn this, you're going to just have, and that's why I work 50 hours a week. Now, there's going to be some type A's that will walk away and they're like, you just didn't do anything to me. You know what I mean? Like, they expected to be beaten up. Look at now the difference of where that lower back can start to go. I'm just going to organize your diaphragm just a little bit here. There we go. I'm just going to go back now.
I can feel that getting all the way up into my spine. And
Oh,
even
not
to
only that, but
this palm,
I'm
there's a-
literally
yeah.
working on the inside of your lungs here. You should feel the way that the organs are starting to rotate inside the chest. There should be more of a slide. But see, now to start thinking about that lift. So I'm just going to come here. I get underneath the patella. I'm just going to hang out. I want to see if that groin releases. And then down. Now you'll really see this in areas of cerebral palsy when the femur starts to dysmorph because of the pull of the muscles. They don't get this counter. The trochanter does not do its job in relationship to how the femur works. So the femur turns into almost like a stick. So I've tried a couple of times. I'm not getting that to happen. So coming underneath the ankle, but now I'm just pressing in the knees together. Very similar how I put the wrist and stuff to the table. This also allows the foot to lightly just start to hang off the ankle bone. So now I have the slide. Just going back to see. I already see how I can start presenting. Again, now I still wouldn't necessarily, but right now I'm finally at a point where if I wanted to start sliding my hands, see how much nicer now you can come into my hands. It's okay. Feel the balance? See how you just, you wiggled, you hesitated? So I'm holding the leg, and I'm gonna bring it back in, rotate in underneath. So now I'm just looking for that slide. But this is the quickest way I know to adjust someone's pubic bone in a sense that way. And so now, counter rotate, elbow down, elbow up. Again, just that pre-crawl. I don't expect an 85-year-old person to go crawling around on the floor for me. There we go. Now I can do a couple quickies. Now I can finally speed it up where I can get. But see how nice, for every movement I make, your arm is presented to the table. Ooh, look at that. Letting the sit bones fall lightly. And notice too, I've done all this, I haven't even touched your back now.
Yeah. And yet you've been working in my back, definitely.
Correct.
But
using that opposition of force, so I'm
Yeah.
actually coming underneath the vertebrae and directing my touch that way versus always approaching from the back. But I'll throw the back in a second. Not so much working on the thigh, but the femur itself. That's much better now. But right there, to catch that catch on the inside there, this is one of the few moves that, again, you can go inside of being a little bit hard than usual. This is where I have to get through man muscles. Where you're comfortable with the legs. There you go. So now I'll go on your back just to finish it. Any questions?
So, this idea of moving into the shoulder, the transference of weight into the
Yeah.
an extension. I've got the words that you used.
Right.
The rotation into the shoulder. That was just very interesting to experience. Really, how that.
All of science and data is about a lift, which is an adult function. If a baby lifts something, they will automatically cease the balance and counterbalance, and therefore start to going into cerebral palsy or the autism, things like that, where the system is malfunctioning. But a true baby transfers weight, going into a balance and counterbalance. So if you go back to where the system mechanics originate versus what we feel is logical, see how nice I can torque that lower pelvis?
Yeah.
No offense, you're a full-grown male. This is a very hard move to do, just to do it on brute force. Now I have to use a little bit more effort because your tonus is different, because you are an adult male, but still, by all means, I'm not using force. And your knees are at a 90-degree angle. The way we are taught, the only way you can get the pelvis to do something like that, if I were to bring your feet way much more down, where it's more advantageous. So notice here, I'm just, again, torquing that sacrum as I'm sliding down here as I'm going up. So I'm totally torquing here as well as getting it to go side to side. But again, look at how that's into a pre-crawl. Do you see how much nicer that is through the pelvis to approach that movement? But also to see where your arm can go with this.
Yeah.
There we go. See how the spine now is just... Notice here too that I'm working below the spine. Again, I don't know, again, your training and my training, we were taught mainly more so here. But if I come underneath, see how I can transfer much better through the chest cavity. If I was going here, see how you're going to brace for impact.
Yeah.
Whereas here, see, I'm engaging much more that whole vestibular of the spine.
It's a silly question, Michelle, but where is your left hand? Is it?
I'm quite close to the sacrum,
Yeah.
but my intention is much more on the thumb for the movement to slide up the spine, more so than coming here. See, again, your butt needs to go out. It needs to counter pivot off of my lower thumb here.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm allowing. But notice too, I'm not letting go. Just like on your chest cavity. So if I was here, see the difference in the movement versus staying with your bum. So here again, see how the movement stops? Versus I'm almost directing how to pull, which is your little tailbone, into a crawl.
Yeah.
Where that lift is. But you don't have a string off your coccyx, so it's hard to do. See, now I can get right here. But you see how normally this knee would never have allowed that to happen. And how you're just, boop, just like a kid. And see that there we go, that internal acceleration. I'm going to get right in there into the lower abs. Sorry if that's too much.
Yes.
Just adding that quickness. So I could either go where I'm pulling down and working on that rotation, or I'm going up now. So see how I'm totally neutral in that spine of where I want to go, and you're fine with that.
Yeah.
Notice too, there we go, shoulders just tossing. And I'm just going around now, just integrating it into the whole spine. But you see how much more I have to get that vertebrae to rotate around versus just doing this. These are valid movements,
Yeah.
but I really, if I only have 1 hour with someone, I've got to go for efficiency. So now I'm going to move my chair a little bit just to change this rotation around the pelvis now. See now how I can come nicely underneath that trochanter? Or I can go this way, up this pelvis. Again, that neutral, that downing up, but this is going up and down the stairs. Now again, if I wanted to oppose and I wanted to add in more of that footwork. But notice how I'm not just keeping my hand here to do this. I'm rotating, there we go. And now the foot can come up. And this is important to do if the person's got way too much thigh engaged. And I can just come down. And again now, just how I can just from this angle. Shoulder feel a bit better?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's really, it really does. When if you know what your analogy of fluid, it really does feel like that's what you're playing with. Really, it's.
Well, if your body's
yeah,
65%,
Yeah.
but the spinal fluid is contained in a separate equilibrium.
Mm.
If you acknowledge that, again, you're playing, it's sort of like an oil bottle with the vinegar inside of it kind of thing.
Yeah.
I'm just separating the head from the spinal cavity. There we go. A lot of this might be just coming from keeping your glasses on.
Yeah.
That's it. And again, kids with tone issues are used to most of their movements are same versus that counter. Just going in. Notice how I bring the head down slightly as I bend the neck up. One thing that babies do play with more so than we do as adults is this push and pull of the head into the floor
Yeah.
as they're rolling around, whereas as most adult functions is looking to constantly lift the head to move it.
Yeah.
But even now, see. See the weightlessness now? It's like you're just liquid. See, you're not a 70 some kilo or whatever you are, probably 85 kilos actually. Kilos I'm off. But see how nice, see? I just want you to feel the weightlessness.
Yeah.
That's when the system is, again, it's just balancing. You feel it? It's balancing, but it's balancing throughout. Each part of the roll now, there's a balance through the chest cavity, the way it presents onto the table. So, just like Da Vinci and stuff, with all the fulcrums and levers and the pulley systems, you see? Now you can start doing a Feldy lesson if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But even that, see, now I could pour your shoulder, let's say, onto my hands. Much more so than, quote, see? Pour, pour, pour. Find that place, find that place. There we go. See? Now with that,